Adam has arrived.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Black and Snurdy is the best podcast, gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna meet magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. You know that she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the GOAT, talking about animation cause you know. Odie, she moving wavy like the boat. Watching some movies and she taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Black and Snurdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Black and Snurdy, ooh. Black and Snurdy, yeah. Black and Snurdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Snurdy podcast, the only podcast where two sexy black nerds get together to shoot the shit. I am Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snurds here on episode 177 of the Black and Snurdy podcast. How are you doing?
I'm great. You want to know why?
Because it feels so good to be alive.
It does, yes. And also, it's Women's History Month. Bow, 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 bow.
Yay. Shout out to all of the women in the world, in the history of the world. Well, maybe not the monsters.
Yeah. The same way when you know how they say, like, when pizza was black, I'm rooting for everybody black.
Sure.
It also has an asterisk.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm rooting for all women, asterisk.
Yeah.
Because what's your name? Gnome.
Christy Gnome.
She can get the fuck out of here.
Gazelle or whatever her name. Ghislaine.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Melania. Like, there's so many of them that I'm like, scratch them off the list. This is when we just watched Pluribus. Is that how you say it? Pluribus. And we were talking about like what we would do in these different scenarios.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Pluribus is
spoiler alert.
It's a TV show on Apple TV. The concept is, and by the way, it's created by Vince Gilligan.
From Breaking Bad
and Better Call Saul. Yeah. The concept is that essentially the entire human race gets infected with this virus that makes them all essentially become this hive mind, with the exception of like a handful of people scattered across the globe.
Yeah.
And our main character is this woman. She's a fictional writer, and
She's the Karen of the apocalypse.
She is the Karen of the apocalypse. She is she's not doing great. To be fair, she did lose her wife.
She did. During
the event that they call on the show The Joining. Her wife passes away essentially during the assimilation process. And like the first half of the show is essentially her grieving the fact that her wife is gone, and now she is basically alone in this apocalyptic scenario.
And
where
she's someone who already just hates people, so having all these people around, we were like, hey, whatever. What's her name? Carol? What is it? Ellen?
It wasn't Ellen.
It's like Carol or something.
I want to say
it's something real like regular.
I want to say that it's Carol.
I think it's Carol.
Yeah. And yeah, it is Carol.
All right, great. Like, hey, Carol, and happy and all that. She already hated people, so that just adds to the like shenanigans.
Yeah, she's a misanthrope. She's she's like, she pessimistic, glass half empty kind of person.
Yeah.
She essentially is the last person you would want to, try to have to save humanity.
But all that creates the perfect person to save humanity.
Yeah, honestly, I like the show.
Yeah, I love the show. It's great.
I think it is well shot, well written. Admittedly, there are some pacing problems.
Although sometimes it's a little slow.
Yeah, I mean, like I believe it is the second episode where we get introduced to her caretaker, Zosia. They essentially spend the first 7 or 10 minutes showing the individual known as Zosia in an entirely separate country, going about her assimilated business. She is then gets on a plane, flies that plane to Albuquerque gets off the plane, and we see all of this in kind of like excruciating detail.
I like that part.
Changes her clothes, drives all the way to Carol's house, and I understand like I get Vince Gilligan's style.
Yeah.
Like he has a style where he can show like the excruciating details. He is a attention to details kind of guy, you know. So I completely understand like his method. Having said that, there are some things that can be trimmed out.
Yeah, there were some. I actually did like the setup for Zosha's entrance into the show.
Sure.
There like were other things though that were just took too long.
Like at one point, the entire city of Albuquerque leaves Carol by herself, and the only way that she can communicate them is through a landline. And when she calls them, it's a recorded message, and it is essentially, you know, boils down to, hi, Carol, we want to help you, but we can't be around you. So just let us know how we can help you. It's not you. We need space. That kind of thing. They play that message every single time she calls. Like the entirety of the message, all the way through, every single time.
Because I already like...
I feel like there are shortcuts that can be taken.
One thing that I know, like with smartphones or whatever, that there's a lot of like downsides and things I'll be like, oh, this is terrible, right? But one key thing that I love is one, that you don't have to listen to your voicemail to get to your voicemail anymore.
Yes.
And two, now that you have the voicemail text, so you can at least see kind of it's not always the best.
Text to speech,
Yeah, it's not always the best transcription of what the people said.
Yeah.
But you could generally get kind of an idea.
Sure.
Right? But yeah, that part could have been cut. It's too much. I already hate hearing repeated messages over and over and over again.
Sure.
So like cut that out. But the point is that what I was gonna get to is that they can't really call them aliens, but the hive mind, the joiners, their main goal is one, to have you assimilate.
Yeah.
Two, if you're not going to assimilate, for them to make you as happy as possible.
Sure.
With whatever it is, needs and wants that you might have.
Yeah.
But regardless of how ridiculous, regardless of how dangerous, regardless of how just inappropriate it might be.
Yeah.
They're going to try to do it because they want to make you happy. Because at the end of the day, their main goal is to manipulate you into joining them.
Sure.
So when we were talking about what we would do in that situation, and I've been thinking about it, right? So one, I would have all of them go through all of their minds, and I want you to take out the folks who are like grapists.
I'm listening.
And no, I heard a weird sound. Sorry, grapists, pedophiles, abusers. Anyway, take them out. We're gonna put them somewhere, and I'm probably gonna make them do a lot of menial labor, and or castrate them or something like that. It's not gonna be fun for them. Okay, and then the next tier is gonna be like people who are like racist. You know, put them somewhere. We're gonna have them doing something else, and then, but I definitely am gonna have a special place in hell for the women who have actively worked against other women.
Sure. Because
I just feel like being a woman you're already a marginalized class, right? You add any other of the extras, whether it's your color, your religion, your social, like economic class, whatever, all these things. And so all of that, for you to become a fucking jerk ass, fuck ass, bitch ass person, it really upsets me.
Sure. So
you need to have a special kind of, I don't know what I'm going to have you doing. It's going to be really terrible. Maybe I'm going to have you fucking cleaning lion cages or something, or wherever we put
they freed all the animals.
Freed all of them. You got go pick up their poop in the wild because you're going to get mauled.
In the wild?
Yeah, go there and pick up the poop.
So now you're actively putting them in danger.
I mean, I'm doing no different than what they did. Okay? Go do it.
I feel like an argument could be made that what you're doing might actually be worse.
No, because at this point...
To the third tier of
They'll
people,
figure it
the bad
out.
actors, the
No,
jerks?
because the other ones, the first two groups are gonna have really terrible. Like they're all gonna have special places in hell.
Right.
But you have. I think that the reason why I'm giving an extra special dollop of depravity for women is because we should know better. Because we've experienced so much. And that is why, like, women, we're so magical, we're so powerful, we're so amazing. Because we have gone through literally since millennia, since we began, we have had a special kind of hardship, a special kind of relationship with the world, the people around us. And for us to forego that for selfish means, or for like to be pick-me's for men who are worth nothing, you gotta feel it.
Okay, this brings up a good question. If the entire world has been assimilated, then at that point, you're essentially isolating by going through and combing people's like histories or the mind, like their mindsets, like that they lived prior to the joining.
There's gonna be some people we already know, right? We have the Epstein files, right? We have those. We have like various media things that we've seen people do.
Sure.
But the fact that we're gonna have their minds, now you can't lie. They can't lie.
Yeah, and on the show, they make it clear that the joined, assimilated people collective are unable to lie. However, they do understand lying through omission, or telling half truths, or just straight up not answering when
that's whatever. That can still happen. But the fact is that I'm going to find out the information, because they don't know what I'm going to do with the information as of yet. They're going to do it to make me happy. And I'm going to tell them at the beginning, split up these folks. This is who I want. They have a special project I want them to work on.
So
now, obviously,
you have a special project? That sounds devious.
Yeah, well, it is. It's going to be fucking devious. All right. But this Women's History Month, I want us to all
tie this back to Women's History.
Remember that we are powerful.
Sure.
That we are amazing. That there would be no world without us. And that with much power comes much responsibility.
Yeah.
And it is our responsibility to make sure we're not adding to the fuck ass bullshit that goes on in this world. Why? Because there are going to be young girls coming after us, and we should always be the role models for them. You know, like when I'm walking down the street, and say when I have like, I don't know, random colored hair, or like a random interesting outfit on, or something like that. Something that probably when I was a kid, if I would have seen that and thought it was cool, but like someone else would have been like judging it. I hope a little girl see me and be like, "Oh, that's fucking dope." Well, then I wouldn't say fucking, but I don't know. These kids nowadays, they might. But like, that's cool. She looks dope. She looks whatever the kids are saying these days. And she's doing that. I'm gonna do it. You know?
Sure. To quote a great historical song, "This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl."
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that sentiment, indeed. All right. Now that we have celebrated Women's History Month, right?
Yeah, well,
is that the actual
Women's History Month?
Yeah, Women's History Month.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have celebrated and brought in Women's History Month, do you want to get into the chicanery, the shenanigans?
I would love to hear
the
about
shit,
shenanigans, chicanery, and all the other stuff.
And we shall start that process by going into Pop Topics.
When you want to be got a big deal, what you gonna pick?
Pop Topics. All right, where do you want to start?
All right. So this is award season.
Yes, it is award season. Yeah.
It's like a secondary award season. I feel like there's like in the late fallish times, we have award seasons, but then in the beginning of the year, we have another round of award seasons.
Yeah, so essentially there at the beginning of the year there's like multiple secondary awards that are kind of like the lead up to the Academy Awards, which is usually in like March.
Because the thing is, I think I could be wrong. You could tell me, y'all can tell me. I feel like the award shows happen in like the first 3 months of the year because it's gathered all the stuff that's happened in the previous year. And that's it's like also because people are going to be, there's like certain time frames for you to put in your, whatever your award, your movie, your TV show, your music or whatever for consideration.
Sure.
So it couldn't really be late until the year because then you'd be waiting. Everyone would be waiting like a year and a half.
I would say that's true with the exception of maybe the Emmys, because the Emmys are usually in like the fourth quarter of the year. And it goes basically to get the like previous season, you know, of those television shows.
Can I say real quick, I miss when we used to have seasons that matched with the beginning of the school year. What do you mean? Be like,
television seasons?
Television seasons, yeah, because it used to because I used to be able to clock a season's beginning with the start of school.
Sure.
And then it would go until we had a break. Like we usually would have the same breaks for TV that we would have for school.
Yeah.
You would come in the beginning of the year. That's in September is when your show starts up again. You have like maybe a little break for Thanksgiving or whatever, maybe, but usually we would have an episode for that. You would have a break for Christmas, like a winter break, like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And then you would come back in January, February, maybe you would have maybe a midwinter break.
Yeah.
And then it would just be going on until June, and then you knew it's like school's ending. It's going to be a bunch of reruns. Now it feels like there's like 4 seasons of a show in 1 year. It's for some shows.
Well, there are what you're talking about is like the fall lineup and like the spring lineup where and now
a summer lineup though too, which I feel like is weird.
I feel like summer lineups got introduced when reality TV started to become more prominent.
Because they can really go anytime, so there's no need to like hold it off. Yeah.
And what you're discussing is the sort of death of the television season cycle thanks to the advent of streaming, thanks to, streaming culture and binge watching, and also just the media landscape of how shows are not created with like longevity in mind. Like if you look back at like an average, let's say an average sitcom from like the 80s or 90s, they were producing episodes in like the 20s. You know what I mean? Like they were producing 20 to 30 episodes of I was about to say content.
Well, it's not wrong. Content is
no, now everything is content. Like perfect.
Nora Ephron always said that anything's content. So she was a very beloved writer. So
sure. She Afrofuturistic?
No, she was a white woman.
Oh, okay.
You've seen a lot of
Nora Ephron?
Yeah, you've seen.
What is her most popular piece of work? Nora Ephron?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is not to be confused with Zac Efron. No. The point that I was trying to make was like, if you take a show like Friends, which premiered in September 22nd, 1994, that show had 24 episodes that it produced in its first season. And most shows nowadays, like, because of the advent of streaming and Netflix and all the other apps and everything like that, it has done a number on the landscape of television. One, it's very rare to have like a show that is episodic in nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like most shows and because shows are no longer episodic, well, I think it's a chicken or egg thing. Because shows are being greenlit and produced with shorter shorter seasons in mind,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be greenlit with like, let's say, an 8-episode run, a 10-episode run. You know what I mean? Like, so there is, because it has shorter amount of episodes in their first season, it makes it harder for a show to like, one, find its footing. Because when a show is episodic like Friends and you have 24 episodes, you can basically throw a bunch of shit at the wall.
Yeah.
And see what works, and then you hone in on the characters, you hone in on the style of humor, you hone in on the style of storytelling over time, so that the second season and the third season and the fourth season and so on can become more concentrated and have the essence of that show basically like be carved out.
Now, the only thing that I would posit against that is that that's a very American way of creating TV shows and making them work, because British TV shows historically they will have very short episodes per season, right? It's usually not until it's something that Americans have caught on to, or it's adapted into an American TV show, that they might go from having between 6 and 10 to having then like longer episodes. But I do feel that like British TV shows, when I've watched them, the writing and everything is so good that you don't necessarily need the 24. But I do think that you're right in saying that for at least the shows that we have, there's shorter seasons, and then also the writing and everything else is just not as good as it could be.
Right. And to speak to that, like there's two sensibilities at play. And I'm only speaking for the American television sensibilities. It's entirely different over in the UK when it comes to their media. For one, they don't have ads. Okay. For two, a lot of the shows that they create are essentially created with like a beginning and an end in mind.
Yeah.
So therefore, like it is not, even if a show in America is created with an ending, a type of ending in mind, like one, it has to get there.
Yeah.
Two, like it still needs to find its footing and figure out what works, what doesn't work when it comes to like how the story is going to unfold.
Yeah.
And three, just straight up capitalism. Fucking television networks are gonna come back and say, let's milk this property.
Yeah.
We are getting the big bucks. Let's add another season and let's add another character. Let's see how long we can stretch this pony out.
Like
it's not like that in on the BBC or in the UK
that are really popular, like EastEnders, right?
Sure.
That's very, very popular. Or like the Miss Marple or the detective ones.
Sure.
They're pretty like historical pieces, so I know you.
Sure.
Them. And like some of them have gone on for literal like decades or whatever, or they had a lot of long runs. Maybe they've ended, but you don't get the same push for like, oh, let's get a movie out of it. And if you do get a movie, it's just because it's like we know we could do something great with the story versus like, oh, it's finished and let's milk the cow. Because I think the entertainment industry is different there than here.
Agreed. Yeah, it is.
It's quality over quantity. And like even having forays into like they have reality TV or have had it for a long time, but it's also very different. Like, yes, you know, you have the the
Big Brother.
Well, Big Brother, but there's one
Love Island
like
UK.
It's like a Jersey Shore. Oh man, and I remember watching it because it was like, it was basically I would call the caravan British folks that are, you know, I don't know what you would call them. They're like nomads. They have a very, you know, lower class. Quote unquote.
Geordie Shore?
Geordie Shore. Yes, that's what I kept thinking in my head, but I wasn't sure if that was it. Yeah, Geordie Shore, which was like the Jersey Shore of like that type of people who would be there. But even then, like they still have a lot of, I think, like reality TV show that's very smart and interesting. Like, they have something called Google Box or something like that, where it's people watching television shows and like reacting to them in real time, kind of like a Twitch.
Sure.
But it's so interesting because it's like there's so many real emotions that come up, real conversations. It's more interesting than just kind of, they're not just watching TV, and it's also not it's not rehearsed. So like a lot of their reality TV shows, I feel like are just like that. They're just like the people are saying who they are, being like real, outside of the ones that are like a Real Housewives type of spin. But that's like an American injection into the community or into the industry. But I would love if we had more quality over quantity, because we have so much coming out constantly, but a lot of it is so terrible. So then it's like we have these long-ish seasons of shows, but you have like each show is getting like 2 seasons per year, because they have their fall and the fall to winter season, and then they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, this is our next season, which is weird to me because it doesn't feel like you can create, like when I think of a season, I'm thinking like you're creating a whole arc and you're not ever fulfilling that arc because you're trying to get it done within the time frames of the season.
So there's a couple things I want to break down with what you just said. I'll start with the last thing because that was the most recent thing. Yes, so shows now are produced in a more serialized as opposed to episodic nature, because again, it is
and when you say serialized episodic, what do you mean?
When I say serialized, I mean that a show will have like a set number of episodes. Let's say a show has 10. And that show will spend most of their time doing a balancing act of fleshing out the character while pushing the main arcing storyline along. So it will probably develop the character. It'll probably explain the scenario, explore the world a little bit, or at least explore it as far as like, what that premise is about. But with each episode constantly being like a quintessential effort into the overarching narrative of that show. So take like Pluribus, for example. Each episode, essentially, of the 9-episode season 1 is kind of quintessential to telling the overarching story. When a series is more episodic, the show, essentially, there might be things like a overarching
like
story.
SVU is episodic?
All right, yes. SVU is episodic.
Because sometimes things might come up that have come up in
sure, yes.
episodes, but
SVU is episodic. Let me continue with my explanation. When a show is episodic, it essentially might do more character development or character exploration as opposed to servicing a overarching overall story of that season. So yes, Law & Order SVU is a show that is episodic by nature. And the way that the episodic storytelling is different from a more overarching or serialized thinking. The way that they differ is that with an episodic story, you can basically just jump in at any episode and you won't lose any information. It'll focus mostly on whatever's going on that week and about the characters that are experiencing whatever's going on that week. With serialization, you essentially lose that episodic nature because like you have to have watched episode 1 in order to understand episode 2. You have to watch episode 2 in order to understand episode 3, and so on and so forth.
So would Abbott Elementary be episodic or serial? Because I feel like you need to know the characters and the things going on to understand the show, but I also feel like if maybe you didn't watch it, you might be able to jump in.
I would say that primarily Abbott Elementary is an episodic show.
Okay.
Like there are overarching stories, like in this most recent season, they had like the mall arc essentially.
Yeah.
But primarily based on its structure, Abbott Elementary acts as more of a episodic television show where you can just put on a random episode of Abbott Elementary, and by and large, the status quo of that world will remain the same. Are there overarching elements like the love interest and the growing relationship of the two main leads that develops over time? Yes, just like with The Office with Jim and Pam, you know? But again, The Office is also, I would say, episodic by nature. You can just jump in and you know the characters, you know their characteristics, and you just see what the scenario is, and you're basically looking at how these characters in this world react to the scenarios that they're put in.
What about One Piece?
One Piece is now we're getting into like anime. So like
different than would you consider an anime TV show different, having different parameters than another live action or another animated TV show?
Anime operates okay, as far as media storytelling is concerned, because anime inherently, except for a number of exceptions, because anime operates as like a adaptational vehicle for whatever manga is being produced, I would say that anime operates primarily with a weird mix of, it's a weird combination of serialization and episodic. And because anime is, I always say that anime is a medium, not a genre. There are many genres within the medium of anime. So much like with American television, much like with live action television, anime has shows that are primarily serialized. And it also has shows where it's primarily character based. They're usually referred to as slice of life shows. There's a whole genre within anime called slice of life.
Yeah,
where
that volleyball one we were watching.
What'd you say?
The volleyball one when we were in high school. It was volleyball teams or something like that, or the food the restaurant where they were making up the food. Funny enough,
those two examples that you just gave, I would say those are a combination. Well, they're those are I would say those are a different genre entirely. Those are more shonen anime, and one shonen as a genre is anime where the story is geared primarily to boys, and the tropes within shonen anime would primarily like have them be, I would say those two would be more serialized with some. No, they would be serialized because they're not slice of life. They take they're primarily focused on a specific like interest, like in Food Wars, it's about cooking. And about the volleyball one, which I am really blanking on right now, and it's really upsetting.
That is a little bit upsetting.
My anime knowledge is clashing with my old age. But I would say that those are shonen. Which is an entirely different. Yes, that's the one. What is it called?
This one here?
Yes.
Hold on, well, it just gives me this background. Sorry.
This is gonna drive me crazy. Will I get to it first?
I'm gonna find it. Is this
Haikyuu.
all right?
Yes.
Great.
Which is a great anime, by the way.
But all right, I'm gonna.
Do you want this episode to just be about like media literacy and exploring the different nuances of modern media versus old media, or different media from like overseas, or like the various media that exists? We can do whatever we want because this is our goddamn podcast.
We can do whatever.
We can do whatever we want. It's up to you, though.
I mean, I'm happy to
because
do-
I, as you can see, I have a fire
you
for
do
this kind of
fire.
thing. Like
You're
as
very
a-
passionate about it. And
I
appreciate that.
as a kid who grew up parked in front of a television, who then grew into an adult parked in front of a television, who then went to college to study all of this, and has since spent so much time deep diving and researching and just learning as much as I possibly can. Like, this is kind of my bread and butter.
Well, I'm happy to do that, but you just have to lead it because you know that you're gonna probably
I have no problem with leading it.
All right. Well,
I mean, and you're a journalist, so I would assume that you have like
I mean,
questions
I have questions
that would help with like
And
narrowing the focus.
I also love media as
Mhm.
well. Clearly, obviously, why we have this podcast.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to go wherever you want to go, my
Sure.
friend.
Sure, let's go. Look, let us go.
Let us go.
Wherever we want to go.
On the journey.
On the road ahead.
Less traveled.
I can't wait to get on the road again. Let us go. That is the possible title
All
for
right.
the episode. Yep. Okay. After a brief discussion, we have decided to explore modern media for today. For today's episode, or at least as far as this topic is concerned. For a little bit of context, a little bit of background, I grew up watching a lot of TVs and movies, and I went to school for movie production and media learning, you know. And as I have gotten older, I have done a lot of reading and researching and just being observant of like different trends in modern media, and just seeing how things have changed, grown, and evolved.
Mhm,
Odie, you went to school for journalism,
mhm.
and I would say that you have your basis within the realm of journalism, but would also consider yourself a studier of like modern media. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
For sure.
Okay, sure. All right. So with that being said, we can explore the landscape of modern media. I do want to point out that this first came about in our conversation that what started last week and has continued into this week. You mentioned that you would like to see more quality as opposed to quantity.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say quality, could you like break that down a little bit more for me,
Well, I
so that I
think
have an understanding of where you're coming from?
in general, like I forgot where I was reading it, but they were talking about the amount of content that is created for entertainment purposes.
Sure.
Taking out like social media, but like actual content. You could find it on streaming services, you could find it on TV networks, etc. Right? YouTube, anyway. But the amount of content that we have today compared to 30 years ago when we were younger, you could not, the amount, it's like we have so much coming out every day that nobody would be able to watch all of it in their lifetime.
Sure.
And on one hand, I think that's really interesting. It's really cool. We have a lot of spaces for anybody to be able to, like, if you have an iPhone, if you have a smartphone, if you have just a regular camera or whatever, you can make movies, you can make TV shows, webisodes, whatever you want, and put them out there. But I think that when that happens, because there's now like a grab for everyone's attention, that you have instead of like the classic TV shows and classic film, what are they called? Not film houses. Are they called film houses?
Production studios.
Production studios that would maybe like elevate their work more to grab viewers. It's more of a coming down to the level of folks who have no they have no, what is the word, not access, like they don't have the historical range. I don't know if that's the right word, but they haven't been doing it. So they're novices, they're amateurs.
When you say that, who?
Like,
Because I feel like there were two different days that you were referring to.
yeah, there's the people who have been working in production and film and TV for a long period of time, and then there's those who are just picking up a camera and doing whatever they want.
Sure.
And I think that both of those are important because we've always had independent filmmakers, people grabbing like the reason why we have Issa Rae is because she created her own independent like web series that went, on YouTube. It went so viral, but it was also really good, even though she didn't have all the access to the different cameras and sets, etc. But I think that now that you could, like, anyone can record something and put it on Tubi or Zeus Network, that these production studios are they're just trying to grab your attention. So they're putting anything and everything out, whether or not it's actually good.
Okay. All right. So you actually brought up a number of very good points within what you just said. First thing is first. As technology has evolved, as the internet has evolved, as society has evolved, the access of not the access. I would say the accessibility of media has grown and spread.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right that basically we are now in a time where anybody can become a content creator, essentially. Anybody with access to a microphone and some editing equipment and maybe a camera could put out a short film or put out a movie or put out what have you, right? Here's the thing. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's better that a lot of people have more access and that there's more accessibility when it comes to like content creation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We need, because I think that there are films like Daughters of the Dust, which is a prolific film, it's beloved, but also would only be made through someone who said, I have a camera, I have a desire to make this film, I'm going to make it. Because I don't these production studios, they don't care, they don't want to make this film.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that we always are going to need independents who are out there creating the media that the big places I just don't think is going to sell, because obviously it's all about capitalism. What's going to sell to everyone? What's going to look good? What can we market? And I think that we always are going to need them, and it's always important for them to be around. But I think that it's also important on the other side is that the production studios, yes, you should be involved in understanding of what is going viral, what people are liking and gravitating towards. But that doesn't mean you should like lessen the quality of what you're doing. You should still be trying to get the top writers. You should still be trying to get great actors, great directors, etc., and not just be putting things out because you think it's going to be a cash grab.
Okay.
Which I think happens not just with these big budget films, but we know is why everything that has been coming out over the last decade or so has just been like another Marvel movie or another, like, just using the IP and draining it of all of its essence so that you can make money.
Okay. Couple things. Unfortunately, media is a business. And unfortunately, funny enough, as you bring this up, we just got finished watching the Apple television show, The Studio.
Yeah, which was really great.
Which was really good and very well done. Seth Rogen is great. And the woman who just passed away, Catherine O'Hara, R.I.P. Very, very amazing work that show and her acting and the work that they done. But they speak a lot about this in that show. It's the combination of trying to balance what will make money and what will be artistic, or what will like be a ultimately like better for quote unquote society for the arts versus what will keep the studio afloat and make them as much money as possible.
Yeah, because Seth Rogen, his character becomes the new studio head.
Yeah.
Because Catherine O'Hara's character gets fired because she wanted to make films like really like artsy, great dialogue, really cerebral, things that are going to actually move the arts forward. And the he's not the head of the studio, but he owns the studio. Bryan Cranston's character was like, I'm trying to make movies that are going to sell. And
basically, we don't make films, we make movies.
Yeah. That's
the sort of overarching tagline of the show.
And Seth Rogen comes in, who also is someone who wants to make films, but has begun to acquiesce to what is going to keep him in the business with a job, and to hopefully one day to make the movies that he wants to make.
Right.
And I think that the show did a really great job because all the people in this TV show are like, a lot of them are actors we've seen before. There was a few new faces, but most of these actors we've seen before. We even have cameos from other actors coming in.
Like Barinholtz.
Yeah, who also does a really good job. But it's a reminder that like the business is to sell to people, to make money, and not necessarily always be so what is the word? It's not heavy-handed, but if you think about like in the arts, when you think of like the arts, like Shakespeare and Greek plays and things like that, they were something that the reason why the people were making them was because they wanted to stir something in your soul, right? That is what like theater
challenging.
It challenges you. It makes you think. It makes you happy, sad. It makes you feel these emotions. I think theater has always been a really great place for that. But also even in theater, you have a SpongeBob musical, which is like, why? Because you need to make money. Because at the end of the day, even though we have these like sacred spaces within the arts, nothing is sacred under capitalism. So at the end of the day, you can like you can basically blacklist Martin Scorsese for a really interesting, high-minded movie he might make in the hopes of making like a Smile 5. Like,
sure,
that's just what we're, what was it? It was the Kool-Aid movie.
It was the Kool-Aid movie. And on the show, in the very first episode, essentially, Seth Rogen is given the dictate to create a Kool-Aid movie. And Martin Scorsese, yes, to make it as big as Barbie, a franchise movie. And and there is a section of the episode where Martin Scorsese comes in, played by Martin Scorsese, who wants to make a Jonestown movie. What's the key component in the Jonestown story? Kool-Aid. And so essentially Seth Rogen pays for the movie in the hopes of making that a Kool-Aid movie, because it's Martin Scorsese, who is not going to want to work with Martin Scorsese. But when he is confronted by Bryan Cranston, the owner of the studio, why you are making a Jonestown movie that centers around this franchise IP that's supposed to be making $1 billion, why are you doing that? In which, in the story, Kool-Aid plays a very negative role in that. Why would you do that? Seth Rogen has to come up with a lie and ultimately, not even lie, he compromises his value and says, I bought the movie so that I can kill it. I bought that script from Martin Scorsese so that there will never be an attempt to make that story.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think that our current state of media is there to, for lack of a better words, stupefy the American public?
What do you mean?
Like dumb us down?
What do you mean?
So, like, thinking of...
Do I think that there is an agenda?
Well, I don't know if you call it
overall,
agenda, but I think do you think that there's just thinking of the example of having a Kool-Aid movie about Kool-Aid or whatever and it being like silly and fun versus a Jonestown movie where it's like you have to think. It's not something where you just gonna sit there and laugh and like whatever mindless entertainment. You're gonna have, it's something that's gonna make you think about a lot of different stuff. It's gonna make you have maybe be very introspective about yourself, like all these various things I think art should make you do. Do you feel like the reason why they don't want to make movies that are films anymore is because they don't want people to think, and because we have created a space where thinking is too hard? Because when you look at like old movies, so many old movies, one, they're like 3 hours long. So that, number one, very big difference. They're long.
It was also the only media that they could consume at the time. So if you're gonna pay a pittance to sit into a movie theater, it better be 3 hours long. You're gonna get dressed up in your nicest corset, and you're going to sit there to watch fucking Cary Grant or fucking DB.
It's not DB Power.
It's not DB Cooper either. W.C. Fields, my bad. You're gonna watch whatever W.C. Fields puts out, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna consume that because that is all that they had. Otherwise, it was just them spending the day pushing a hoop down the road with a stick. You know, like entertainment was slim pickings back then, you know? So, of course, it makes sense that one of the first movies and one of the topics of that first movie was Birth of a Nation, you know? Like, whatever. But, like, to answer your question, I don't think that there is an agenda to dumb down society. I think that two things. I think art that is created is a reflection of society. And I think because of capitalism, media is cultivated and created now in a space in the mindset of content where it is, we're going to create something that will appeal to the largest amount of people. So when you're appealing to the largest amount of people, you're buying into trends. You're seeing what works on a larger scale than if you were to narrow down the story and the specificity of the story to target a specific audience.
I mean,
it's essentially like, it's a shotgun approach. What elements of a story will get the largest amount of people to buy into it, which is why you have movies like the Barbie movie, which I personally feel like is a unique and interesting entry because into like the discussion of like film and movies, because essentially what it did was it took a famous broad appeal IP and it captured the zeitgeist by taking specific trends that were inherent both in the IP and that were inherent in society at the time, aka fuck the patriarchy or the exploration of fuck the patriarchy, and sold that to a large demographic, aka women. You know, so I think that it is not necessarily a media necessarily pushing a media can push an agenda, and we can get into that a little bit later. But I don't think that there's this nefarious plot to like brainwash the masses by dumbing things down. I think it's a reflection of what is the time. Like there was a recent interview that Matt Damon did about his most recent Netflix movie that just came out, and essentially it's a Netflix movie, and he said in that Netflix movie that Netflix executives came to him and explained to him that in the movie they had to make it so that you're constantly explaining what is going on, reiterating what the plot is, what people are doing, reiterating that, because the thinking and the psychology of that is people are constantly looking at their phones while streaming stuff on Netflix. So unfortunately, their target audience is people who are watching a thing, looking at a thing, not paying attention to a thing. So they have to constantly reiterate what is going on in that movie.
It's so frustrating because
it's
sort of
it's storytelling that is being bent and produced to bend around viewing habits as opposed to just telling a story and doing like show don't tell or what have you.
Because I think that even like in school, there's so much like force feeding to students of like, excuse me, this is what you should know, or like constantly having to repeat yourself way more than when we were in school, or even kids 15 years ago were in school. And we know that technology plays a big part in that because people's attention spans are far lower. But I think that like we should figure out a way to use media to figure out how to, I don't know if you would say like help. Like we can't just, you didn't get the fucking movie. We watched, put your fucking phone down. Like I know we need to put, you know how like they used to put those FBI warnings about bootlegging?
Sure.
Put a fucking FBI or whatever, a message about, please put your phone down.
And how successful was that?
Well, people still, but at least
people still bootleg. I went to the barbershop a number of times before I lost all of my hair, and they were still bootlegging Soul Plane.
No, they're going to.
I still bought like The Bone Collector.
But I love that movie.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the Snoop Dogg movie. What is the Snoop Dogg Bone movie?
I don't even. You mean Bones?
It might have
the one where he's like a demon.
Yeah,
or he's an undead.
Yeah,
Bones.
Okay,
that one wasn't as bad as I. It wasn't bad.
It was Bones. You're absolutely right, and it was on not HBO, BET.
Yes,
all the time, along with Baby Boy.
Yeah. Because it's supposed to.
Bones. Snoop Dogg's Bones movie. That's the movie that I was referencing.
I mean, look, people are always going to not listen to directions. That's just how people are. Mm-hmm. But I think that if we actually just put a notice up there, like, even though, yes, plenty of people were still doing bootlegs, but just having that on there, I feel like just says something like, put your phone down. Because I know when we were doing a movie night with the kids last year, it was around Halloween, and like we put a movie on, and it was like they asked for the movie. We found one that like was, school appropriate and all that, one that they liked. We put it on, and it's just like the whole time they're just like this. And I think that is something that aiding in that, like making sure that you constantly are repeating yourself, is not going to push them forward to let me just actually pay attention, right? And we know that there was a study that just came out about how watching social media videos, just like short form videos, how much it reduces your ability to pay attention. And like that, these kids have been doing that forever, right? Like there's even with before they had phones, they were on their parents' phones looking at little reels or whatever. And I think we have to like build up folks' tolerance to be able to watch just an hour and a half. Not even talking about a 2 hour or whatever, but it's like we need to be able to build up a tolerance to enjoy the art because we're going to get more and better art from that versus having to constantly dumb down what's happening. Because I think it's going to be harder to make films, like real films, if everything is supposed to be like sparkly and loud and bombs going off everywhere instead of just having like real movies. Like there's a place for both. Like I love watching, a subtitled foreign film. I love watching an action movie. I love watching a rom-com or an animated film. Like everything has its place, but I think that when we start catering too much to the negative parts of society's personality or like relationship with media, I think that it's going to be harder and harder to get people in the movies anyway, because it's already hard to get them to the movies now. It's expensive, COVID, like the attention spans, etc. People don't want to spend the money, so it's like give them something to look forward to. And everybody's not like that. So if I'm watching a movie and you keep saying the same thing over and over again, I'm gonna be real pissed and I'm gonna turn it off. Because then I'm like, what's the point? That's just I'm gonna feel like it's very repetitive.
What you're saying essentially is that there should be something in place to help society change their viewing habits?
Yeah.
But I personally think it's too late. Here's the thing. We have introduced social media and quick form content to society's diets.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I'm not necessarily saying that it can't be reversed.
It's hard.
But it is a psychological overhaul that what you are asking.
It's true.
And you're asking that to be placed as a responsibility on media when that's not necessarily media's job.
It's not media's job.
It was never media's job. Like back in the olden days where people would huddle around the radio and stare at the radio, it was never media's job to tell them to stop doing that. Stop huddling around this radio after dinner so that you can listen to episodes of Howdy Doody. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's essentially media. It's basically attention economy.
But
yes. Like whatever will get you to watch this thing, that's their job to do, essentially.
You're correct. But I also think of it as like, how sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been in a car when someone has their like phone connected to.
Someone hijacks the aux. Yeah.
Well, no, not that. I'm talking about like when you have your phone connected to the car, sometimes when you pull up certain apps, right, it'll give you a little like reminder, don't watch while driving or whatever. Like it'll give you a little alert.
Sure.
That's all it needs. A little alert, right? Because we cannot stop people from not paying attention, right? Regardless of whether you have a phone or not. It's just like that's what people are going to do. If you're at home and you're watching a movie, whether you're on your phone, you're cleaning up, you're doing other things, there's no way to ensure folks are going to be paying the utmost attention to whatever you've made. But I think that we should challenge ourselves to figure out what's going to get people hooked in, and also like not dumbing down the material just because we know that their phones are in their hands. And that's just me. And obviously that I'm sure could be a wild take for some, but I think that like it's not the media's job to change people's habits, but the media knows how what is the word? The media knows how influential it is in people's life.
Sure.
In all aspects. Like, we know that, like, even when you're talking about Birth of a Nation, the way that Birth of a Nation created so much chaos in the US because this movie comes out.
It's essentially propaganda.
It's propaganda. People are taking that, and now you have a rise in Black people being harassed, being lynched, being assaulted, whatever the case may be. Like, that happened just from a film. And even if you think about more to the now, we have people who watch movies and then all of a sudden they decide they want to do something. They're interested in trying something out. We know that media has a way of catching people in a space where they're more psychologically not what is it, unguarded? What's the word? When you're more apt to have like some
susceptible.
Yes, they're more susceptible to this information. That's why everyone always is like, oh, the subliminal messages or whatever that's coming from media. Or and like, however true that may be, I think that media in general, it has a responsibility to try, at least to try. You know, it's not when you're talking about like kids shows, kids movies. We know that like kids have a short attention span. But when you're talking about movies that are geared towards like adults, we shouldn't be aiding and abetting the ability to not pay attention and still be able to enjoy this film, like in the essence of like your purpose is not paying attention because you're on your phone. That's just my take. I know that probably sounds radical, probably sounds like it doesn't make any sense or that it seems unreasonable, but I'm just feeling like what can we do to figure out ways to be able to have really great content that is not resting on bullshit, because we know that there are other parts of the world that don't do that and are still having these great people are coming out to the movies, they're watching the shows. So it's like, I think that we have to give society something to live up to. The same way, like in the classroom, you should not expect the students to be terrible and to not be able to do the work, because they're not going to do the work. So it's the same thing, I think, with films and media in general. If we expect that people aren't going to be able to understand, then they're not going to understand, and we're never going to get back to a place where they will.
Okay. Couple things. I think that the quality challenging works that exists in media, ultimately, if they are of quality and they are challenging and they're introducing interesting ideas, I think that over time, they will be seen and appreciated.
Oh, for
but
sure.
I think it's ultimately like a longevity scenario.
Yeah.
I think things that cater to, short form, short attention span, trends that are of the time nonsense, I think that, again, longevity wise, in time, they will go by the wayside and be forgotten. I hate to admit this, but this is my personal history. The movie Crash came out, 2004, I think?
So.
Do you remember the movie Crash?
Yeah.
Okay. That movie, when I first saw it, it was 2004? Yeah, because I remember being at Towson Catholic when I convinced my teacher to play that movie because I thought it would help race relations. I also got her and convinced her to play the MOK episode of the Boondocks to our class. And if you recall, that is an episode where MOK does a whole monologue about niggas. That movie was a big deal at the time. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture at the time.
66 wins and 112 nominations.
Yeah, it was so big and popular at the time. I think that was also the same year that it lost out to another film called Brokeback Mountain. And at the time, the movie of Brokeback Mountain made a bunch of headlines because of how controversial and how taboo and, gay cowboys eating pudding or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like at the time, that's what the discussion was, right? As time has gone on and as society has evolved and as culture evolved, the staying power of the movie Crash has cratered. No one talks about that movie anymore.
Yeah.
The only reason why I bring this up and remember it because of how anecdotally traumatizing it was that I got my grade school to watch that fucking movie. It is not a good movie. It is a product of its time. It's preachy. And it is basically like race baiting the movie.
I haven't watched.
Like it's not good. It is
watched
not a good movie.
movie
It is a well acted movie that's not good.
I don't think I've watched it since it came out. But it definitely I remember the key parts. But I think that if I watched it today, I would probably be very cringe.
Yeah, it would be
a lot of cringe things that I remember happening.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Brokeback Mountain over time has been looked at as more favorably over time because
it was a good story.
Because of the writing, the acting in that movie, the story that was being told. And not even necessarily because of what the story was preaching. It wasn't even preaching. It was literally just telling a story that had understandable tones that continue the test of time throughout our society.
Yeah.
Crash sucks. It was a terrible movie. Fuck that movie.
Brokeback Mountain came out a year after.
But I say all of that anecdotally to say that I don't think that the solution to this problem is to create media that will preach getting off your fucking phone or anything like that. Because honestly, nobody likes to be preached at in their entertainment.
No, you don't have to. I don't want it to be in the entertainment. I want it to be a in the beginning of the film. You're like, hey, put your phones down. Like when you're in the movie theater, they give you that.
Yeah, they already do that.
So put it on the screens on the streaming services.
So
put your phone down. Watch the movie. Enjoy it. Give yourself an hour.
Which ironically, and the reason why I give pushback to that is because, funny enough, once you selected a thing, chances are you're already looking on your phone. You're probably gonna miss that message.
Probably
anyway.
They should say it then. It should be audible, and you can't skip it. You can skip the intro. You can't skip the PSA.
Put your phone down.
Put your phone.
It's like remember back in the 90s when they tested the Dolby sound by doing the sound check, the audience. And I remember the Tiny Toons Adventure, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. There's a scene where they're in a movie theater and they make fun of that by doing the Dolby sound so loud that it blows people away. And the final message is the audience is now deaf.
I mean, everyone's not going to pay attention or care, but I think we should just put something out. Just try. We should just try.
Just to say that we did. Just to say that, we tried. We did a thing. Nobody cared, but at least we did our due diligence. Covered our asses. What is the point of that?
The point is to try. You never always.
But is it even trying? Or again, is it just covering your asses to say that you tried?
Nobody's gonna.
There's especially nowadays, there's a difference between saying I tried versus I tried. There's a whole. That's a whole difference.
An actual.
And I think that's a mindset of just I tried. basically, I covered my ass. I did the legal due diligence by looking up LegalZoom, seeing what my obligations were, and figured out exactly what I was supposed to do. Versus like, I gave it my all. I gave it my best. I put my heart and soul in this effort. I tried,
Well, moving away from this piece, because I think we could debate that all day.
Yes, we can.
Do you have a favorite time period of media? And can you tell us why?
Yeah, it was the mid to late 90s.
So when?
Say. So let's say, actually, no. Okay. The birth and the, let's say, golden period, and I'll do quick research on this. The best time of media for me growing up was the birth and the golden period of Toonami.
Toonami?
Yes, Toonami. For those of you who are not dating yourselves like I am, Toonami.
It was launched March 17th, 1997.
Yes.
And I guess it had multiple launches.
Yeah, so
initially it opened up 1997 and it closed in June 28, 2022, but then it opened up again July 30th first it was on Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Then July 30th, 2001, it was on Kids WB. Then May 26, 2012, it went to Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely had different time periods and stuff. Essentially, Toonami was this after-school programming block that featured anime from the... Are we in the East?
Yes.
We're
in the West. From the East.
Yes, from anime from the East. From the West? No,
from the East, because you're talking about from Asia.
Okay. Toonami was a animation block that took anime programs from Japan and they English dubbed them and brought them to kids over here in America. And it was amazing. It was after school. It was like a 2-hour block. It had Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Gundam, Wing, and it introduced an entire generation to the concept of anime. Like, there are so many people who love anime as a genre as adults to this day because they were introduced to anime right then and there. And then as time went on, Toonami like introduced different anime into that equation, and then it went away after a little bit, but then it came back like years later. Like when I tell you that the original programming block was essentially Dragon Ball Z and
Naruto.
Actually, Naruto was introduced to Toonami, but I think it was like Toonami 2.0 or with the host Tom 3, I think. Either way, point is, Toonami was super quintessential, like back in the day. Like it introduced so many kids to just the idea of like anime. And that introduced a whole, and with the introduction of anime came an introduction of like a whole new format of media, a different style of storytelling, different characters that you wouldn't necessarily see. Because you got to understand, kids' cartoons in the 90s was essentially just like a fucking cereal commercial, Sugar Rush bullshit.
Yeah.
There were a lot of like dumbed down cartoon shows or very upscale cartoon shows that were geared more towards adults with like the trappings of kids. So Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, those kind of shows. Or they were literally dumbed down and geared towards kids, like Rugrats and I guess fucking Hey Arnold, I guess, which are very good shows. But with Toonami, that was so eye-opening for me. And it told me what the medium could be. Like the fact that these were geared towards kids, but they were shows that introduced a whole new set of ideas for what storytelling could be. Like even with Dragon Ball, like essentially Dragon Ball Z had themes about like fucking colonization and fucking empires decimating civilizations for their resources, like and about like growing through training and inner growth and death and life and the beauty of life and the idea of constantly pushing yourself until you reach your limits and break your limits. Like those type of storytelling ideas weren't being fed to us in kids media at all. Most of it was basically just like, don't steal a cookie from the fucking cookie jar, or like sometimes it's okay to cry, like like stories back then geared towards kids were super dumbed down, and they were also tacked on with some like educational life lesson. Yeah. Like even if they were entertaining, they also, hey, don't touch a hot stove, bullshit like that. Yeah. And then as an extension of Toonami, I would also say the period where Adult Swim was introduced.
So you would say that most of your favorite eras of media have to coincide with anime or animation?
Yes. I would say for me, when I discovered that animation could hold more mature ideas and more expansive ideas outside of just whatever was being geared directly towards kids, was what blew my mind. Like there are so many ideas that I got introduced to as a kid from watching anime and adult cartoons. Like I would say that the idea of like you are enough as a person was introduced to me by a first season episode of The Simpsons, where Lisa gets a substitute teacher played by Dustin Hoffman, I think. And at the end of the episode, he leaves. She's devastated. He leaves her a note. And in that note, it simply said, "You are Lisa Simpson." That's like a great, powerful message of an affirmation, I was open and introduced to all of these ideas through the medium of animation and through the medium of anime. That was life-changing for me, to the point where like now as a adult, I still watch these shows and I watch I ingest all of these stories. And now that they have grown and evolved and changed, there are now, luckily for me, a wide variety of all different types of animation, not just geared towards kids and not just geared towards adults. There are subgenres for both of those things. There are subgenres of stuff geared towards kids. Like, is it geared towards teenagers? Is it geared towards preteens? Is it geared towards like toddlers? Is it geared towards like babies? Is it geared to Bluey? Is it geared towards kids but primarily for adults? Or is it geared towards kids with adults having an appreciation for it? Like, there are so many people who I know who are parents who tell me that they love Bluey because there's so many stories in that show that parents can appreciate.
I mean, I've watched Bluey on my own because there were so many people who were not parents who were commenting on how great the show was. Yeah. And just like the messaging and like, I think of it like Steven's Universe or Adventure Time, which these are shows not geared towards us, but like both of those shows would always have me just like crying in my feels, like really like experiencing a
wide range of emotions.
And also things that like as an adult, it's like maybe as a kid you could watch it and maybe you might come up with something or something that you're dealing with that it connects to. But I think of it as an adult, it's like I'm watching this and it's connecting to something that I felt before, but also it's giving me a way to express it in a way that I didn't even think about. And then I think of like how happy I am that kids have a space to show even more of a wider range of emotions than we had, that may not have been as easily accessible, even though like in the 90s, of course, with like the Rugrats, Hey Arnold, there was a lot of deep stuff. Like
we just got finished watching all of Hey Arnold, and a lot of those episodes handle
really deep,
mature topics.
If I would say my favorite decades of TV and film, I definitely think the 90s, 2000s, pre 9/11, like maybe 2001 above. Because I think that like one, kids shows did not, yes, you were a kid, but it didn't stop you from, it wasn't so like sanitized and sweetened, right? Like I think when I got into college and I would try to watch like Nickelodeon shows or Disney shows, it always felt like, why are you making it so like basic? You know, like we had The Color of Friendship where the white girl inadvertently calls her or tells her black best friend the word for nigger in Afrikaans. And it's like this whole conversation. We're talking about it. We're understanding each other. Like you're actually bridging these gaps versus fast forward even a few years later. And so much of it is so like,
Cadet Kelly.
Yeah, it's like you're not the kids, like the way when we used to have in our kids programming things that were heartfelt, they were genuine, and they were things that kids were dealing with in the moment. But I think as time went on, it's like they stopped. Maybe it was like 2001, maybe after 9/11, it was like shit's getting too real. You know, these kids done watched a fucking terrorist attack on live TV. And we talked about it for the next year or two, like watching it in real time. So maybe they felt like they needed to give us something a little less drastic and a little less deep. But I think it took away something.
I would push back against that because Degrassi came out after 9/11.
Yeah, but Degrassi.
I would argue that I don't think 9/11 is a good demarcation for like so? This because well, I mean because the shows that you pointed out, Steven's Universe, Adventure Time,
yeah, but
they were post 9/11.
Post 9/11, but I think that's because of I think that we had about a decade or so, like from our maybe. Well, no, like, I'm not sure when did Color of Friendship come out. That maybe came out.
I feel like it came out in like the.
So I think that I'm looking it up now. I think that there's because I want to say no, it came out in 2000.
Okay.
There's a time in.
So yeah, that was before 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a time in the aughts. I don't know if it's like right when we were in college, because I remember before getting to college, and definitely during college, I felt like we were in like the lowest tier when it came to quality of movies. But I think movies and TV shows. But I think that at a certain point after that, in the 2010s or so, we started getting the groove back. And maybe that's because so many millennials were coming into these spaces and now they've grown up, and all the things that we saw, that we understood, and would come into it. But I think there's like some parts of our content that we were getting, some of it feels very sanitized, and maybe I would say even after we were in high school, or like going to college, because in high school we had That's So Raven, we had I think As Told by Ginger might have been in high school. We still had things that I felt like were like real to what was going on with us. And I think that part, because As Told by Ginger started in 2000.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm going to push back on you a little bit as far as like this 9/11 demarcation where like quality dipped. Because like just on Disney Channel alone, we had Kim Possible that came out in 2002. That's So Raven that came out in 2003. Lizzie McGuire came out in 2001.
Okay, well, that's what I was saying. I think
Even Stevens came out 2000,
Yes,
but
and
ran
that-
until 2003. Proud Family came out 2001.
And that's why I mentioned that it might have been a little later into those early odds, because I know that when I started feeling there was a lot of fluff
Mhm.
in TV, it definitely was in like later high school, college. So that's like, I don't know, 2005, between 2005 and 2012.
But I would
Because I think during those years, I remember like there were not, when we were in college, especially,
Mhm.
there was not a lot of movies that were coming out that I would be like excited to watch. And as when it came to like TV shows on like the channels I used to watch all the time, Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, I just felt like very meh. And then across the board, I felt very meh about media content in our college years.
So can I ask you a question about like, let's say the 2007s to 2000, because 2007 we were seniors in high school
to the 2010s.
Okay, so let's say 2007 to 2010,
Yeah.
right? You're out of your teenage years, you're literally changing and evolving into an adult. Wouldn't you say that your individual taste changed during that period? And maybe it's not necessarily a reflection that media and what was being produced was fluff. It was just that during that time period, you did not find anything that spoke to you or that you gravitated towards because you were in a transitional period within your life.
Yes. So
like at least for me, I'm only going to speak for myself. Every every chapter in my life, I found some form of media, whether it be super popular or super niche. I found something that spoke to me. The last thing that I will ultimately say is I personally agree that there should be more effort put into quality as opposed to quantity. We are now in a period and in a landscape of media where we are basically inundated with a lot of content, and a good portion of that content is kind of meaningless. Like it's
poop.
It's meaningless fluff,
It's
right?
sugar water, it's candy, not the good kind.
What I will say is there are still pieces of media, television, movie, film, if you were, even stuff on like YouTube, like that have quality to it. That's pushing the envelope as far as like thought provoking and expanding minds and worldviews. I think that if anything, you should look for that kind of stuff. I think on a very baseline, a lot of people just want to be entertained, right?
I'm not entertained.
And that can come in so many different forms, but that on a very baseline, they just want to be entertained. They see media as a form of escapism, and in that escapism, they want to just sort of shut their brains off and just be flung into either a fantastical world or a mundane scenario that puts them at ease to distract from their lives.
Yeah.
I think that in that entertainment, there can still be room for quality, like pushing the envelope, opening up new worldviews, exploring new ideas. And I do think that those shows and movies do still get made and they do still exist. You just have to look for them.
I think the only thing, the difference between now from when we were younger is that there's so much content out there that you might miss some of those things unless someone brings it up to you. You see a podcast or someone does, like my favorite Twitch shows or whatever, like you'll get them. It just, you got to look for them, and they're not as easily accessible because of the fact that you can go on any streaming platform at this point. You're gonna find hundreds and hundreds of movies and TV shows.
That's even to say if you have that streaming platform.
Yeah, but even on like
Because sorry,
but
you were
even
saying?
on like if you have like Sling TV or whatever, the little TV that comes with the comes programmed on the smart TVs, a lot of times they'll have, it may not be the same, but they will sometimes have a component where they have like an on-demand feature where you can still watch movies and TV shows for free that they have on there. I actually feel like I really am glad that we have things like Sling TV, because I think it's important for you to be able to just be you're on your TV. You may not have a streaming, that's fine, but you can go on any of these channels and you can watch a TV show or a movie that you may have never seen before, right? Like when we didn't have streaming, the reason why there's so many of the movies and shows that I watched growing up were so across various spectrums of media, was because we didn't have any option, and let's like whatever was on. Like when Why Do Fools Fall in Love came out, I don't remember when that was, 98, 99 or whatever. That was the only thing on HBO. It was just like always on. Anytime you want to watch a movie, you're gonna see this movie come out.
1998.
And so it's like, even at like late at night, it's like I'm gonna watch that, or I'm gonna go to IFC or whatever and see what's on there, and probably watch some random obscure like indie film or foreign film or whatever that's on there. But that was all you had. So I think it's good that the kids and just everybody has time. You just like, you're using your television, you're flipping channels, you find something, it might catch your eye because it's ridiculous, because it's good, or anything in between, and you're gonna watch it. Versus streaming, where you're gonna just only watch the same 5 TV shows over and over and over again. Because I think the best part about for us growing up with media is that because we had no options, like there's no way you could really control it, that we just were being exposed to such a variety of media from different time periods, different countries, etc. Where it's like now you have that option because you can go on streaming on Netflix or whatever. They have so many things on there, but it's like, what are people actually clicking? Well, even though we have K-dramas, we have Nollywood, we have Bollywood, we have things from anywhere around the world, but we know that what's going to be pushed towards you. Because even like I notice whenever I go to anybody else's house, the different types of shows and things that they're being sent that I'm not, like I would have to search for it. That's just going to come up because it's still like it's built off of that algorithm. It's not even just like you're clicking in here and you're going to just like find a cool show that you've never would have expected, or find a cool movie from this different place that's talking about something you maybe have never watched, because they're just tailoring everything for you. And I feel like having media tailored specifically to you is not the greatest thing. Like, yeah, it might make it a little easier to find a new thing to watch, but I was going to already find that anyway. If I like rom-coms, I'm going to search for rom-coms, right? But maybe show me about this, like, I don't know, true story about the time when elephants beat up a woman and killed her and then came back to her grave 2 days later. Who knows? But I want to see it. I want to I want to see the spectrum of media so that I can keep my my media literacy at all times in mind, if that makes sense.
Sure. I would encourage everybody, and I'm lumping you into this, to branch outside of your boxes, branch outside of your algorithms, to find something different from the norm that you usually watch or ingest. Like, example, me just today. I normally I watch a lot of like wrestling stuff. I watch a lot of anime. I watch a lot of animated programming, right? Just today, I watched a documentary on Pluto TV called The Kill Team. It's about that it's basically it's a chilling documentary.
About what?
This provocative, bold, and deeply moving documentary profiles Adam Winfield, a soldier turned whistleblower who returns from the battlefield to expose shocking war crimes that the U.S. Army will do anything to cover up. This movie is centered around the Iraq War. It was released in 2013, and
it's
a documentary.
A documentary, and not like a movie doc.
No, what do you mean a movie doc?
Like, sometimes they'll do like, I don't know what you would call it, like a fictional. It's a documentary, but it's not the actual people. It's like they get actors to play the people. A docudrama.
No. It's a
actual documentary.
It's an actual documentary. Like there are no reenactments or anything in it, and it actually shows a lot of like the photos and evidence, and it's very disturbing.
Now,
it's hard to watch.
Something that I feel like I would think this would be something I would pick to watch. I would think this would be something you would pick to watch. What made you interested in watching it?
Well, I came across a new YouTube channel. I would cite it if I knew the name, and I will find that name if you give me a second. But I came across a YouTube channel because I'm always searching for new things to watch in addition to the things that I always watch. But I came across a YouTube channel that recommended it while also pointing out how like disturbing that documentary was. So out of curiosity, I watched it, and it was okay. The YouTube channel is called Nightmare Movies.
Okay.
And they deal in sort of like more like horror thriller style movie analysis, but more so like analysis of movies that the general public would not have heard about. So a lot of stuff from like Korea and Japan, a lot of like very, very niche indie stuff. And they recommended this documentary. I watched it, and it's very moving and powerful and disturbing. So that is to say that I am even now, with how comfortable I am with my algorithm feeding me the things that I like, I still go out of my way to look for new things that challenge me. So I would recommend you do the same, like both with your television viewing habits and your social media viewing habits. And I would say maybe we can both stand to go outside of our bubble and find new content. Like even just today, I went down a rabbit hole of true crime confession interview videos.
That's my bag. I love me some true crime.
I've never been a fan of true crime. I would say I'm still not a fan of true crime, but I went down a rabbit hole of, and it's a specific subgenre, I guess, of true crime, of like confession videos or like confession interviews where police bring real life subjects for real life crimes into the interrogation booth, and they start off denying everything, and then slowly, piece by piece, contradicting themselves and getting to a point where they ultimately confess. Yeah. And apparently there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, those like that.
No, not only is there a lot of them have a subgenre of straight up just being like, I was gay and they were gay, and I unalived them because I did not want it to come out that I was gay.
I mean, that makes sense.
That's literally like a lot of the videos were tagged with like, it's okay if you like men or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it, like that kind of thing. So I was just like, I was curious, so I went down that.
I feel like most true crime can be connected to somebody's internalized hatred of something or themselves or some sort of bigotry or whatever, because it's all somehow connected.
I feel like we should do a series of podcast episodes where we discuss the various genres, get very specific, and talk about how problematic and destructive they are.
I mean, well, yeah, because the thing is about it is that, and we don't have too much longer, but this is what I'll say. I think that even though, like, I mean, I love we have so many different genres that are out now. But I think that we fail to realize sometimes how the popular genres that we see on the TV and movies, they spill into real life.
Sure.
Right. And then you have people who are not producers or directors or anything who will be doing these like a true crime documentaries on just their YouTube where they're just like filming crimes and people will watch them, or like the fight videos. You know, it's like how far is the degrees of separation between a true crime and a fight video on Twitter or Instagram? Or
art reflecting real life and real life reflecting art.
Yeah.
You know?
But anyway,
I think maybe that should be the next series that we do. Like, we just do a series of podcast episodes where we break down each genre and the flaws and flavors of each of them.
I don't mind that. I love media. I love talking about it. I love watching it. So I'm not afraid to go deep.
Sure. Sounds good. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for paying attention and watching.
Tell us if you have any specific media takes or things you want us to talk about. Let us know. Yeah, so that we can go dive into it.
Yes, if there's anything specific that you want us to talk about, if there's anything niche that you want us to talk about, we would love to hear from you.
Because we're only two people, so our perspectives are just coming from our own personal selves, and obviously, we're not the only two people in the world. So. Yeah. Let us know what you think. Send us a comment. Send us a message, an email, a DM. You know, it goes down in the DMs. So let us know.
It all goes down in the DMs. Until next time, take it easy. Keep it sleazy. I'm Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And we'll be back next time for more of this. So, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snurdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snurdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorish is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's that's OD THATSOD.E, and on Twitter THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Sturdy Podcast, where nerds of a feather rock together.
Remember?
Bye.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.